All right, today we're going to talk about chord and scale systems, specifically chord scale theory. And the chords that we're going to look at today, let's get into the middle of the fretboard, are root on sixth string chords. That means the naming note, the letter naming note of the chord is going to be found on the sixth string. Here's the A. Okay. So if we take a look at, we can take a look at a chord like this, just a simple A bar chord. That chord has its A, its root on the bottom string, right? If we want to get to a more complex chord sound, it's very easy to do. We just do a 1, a major 7, a 3, and a 5. So this chord is related to this chord, except this chord just sounds a little bit more complex because it's a 4-note chord. It's got that 7 in it. Right? Okay, now let's just add one more chord. Rather than just the major 7, I'm going to go to the 6 as well. Okay, so that spelling is a 1, a 6, a 3, and a 5. Okay, that's the beginning of the system, root on 6. And then underneath that, because it's a major chord, I'm going to play a major scale. Okay. Each of these chords, let's look at the major 7, has 4 notes. The 4 notes are A, in this case, G sharp, and the C sharp, and the E. Okay, or the 1, the 7, major 7, the 3, and the 5. If I take the 1, the 3, the 5, and the major 7 in order and put them in the scale form, that's going to give me an arpeggio, right? 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. So I just played the arpeggio of that chord. That leaves me with only 3 notes left in the scale that aren't in that arpeggio, and those 3 notes in this case would be the 4th degree of the scale and the 6th degree of the scale and the 9th degree of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of those notes, if we're improvising over a chord, can be used as passing notes or color tones, right? So if we take like that 13 there, for instance, right? But I'm thinking, always underneath the chord, I've got a scale that represents the chord. So I think of the chord as coming out of the scale, right? But that doesn't mean I'm playing a scale just as a scale. It means that I'm playing the scale in relationship to the notes, the important notes in the chord. And I see the chord as being derived from the scale. All right. So I try not to get caught up in just stuff that sounds like scales. Okay. Now the same thing would apply if I'm playing the 6th chord, right? So in the 6th chord, I obviously have a 1, 6, a 3, and a 5, and I can play those in order. Right? would be an arpeggio, and I could, yeah, and so on. So I'm aware of that as well. Okay, so that's the way I would think of root 6 major chord. Now, if we move to a 7th chord, what I've done with that chord is I've lowered the 7th degree. This is a 7th, not to be confused with a major 7th. That flat 7 degree comes out of the scale, the Mixolydian mode. So it comes very naturally out of that, right? Right, you can hear it just speaks to that sound. So when I play this root on 6th string chord, the G7 chord, I begin by thinking of the Mixolydian mode, which is like a major scale with a flat 7 degree. Now the next chord in the system is an A minor 7, right? Nice and easy. All I've done to make the A minor 7 is I take the 7 chord and I lower the 3. It's easier to play it like this. Okay, so now I've got a lowered 3. What scale would that, of course we have the arpeggio as well, but what scale would that imply? I think the safest way to look at it, and the most interesting, melodically speaking, is and probably the most common is the Dorian mode. Flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, flat 3, which makes it minor. Okay, so that is a Dorian mode, and I'm thinking, over, under, whatever you want. The minor chord, right? In this case, the minor 7 chord. If you want to make this a minor 6 chord, it's you can just use the 6 instead of the 7. Right? Which doesn't change the Dorian mode. Okay, I could go on, and I'm not going to go on right now. What I'm trying to get across here is that you should learn your chords and your scales in systems. There's lots of different ways to practice this stuff, but this system here is root 6 major, root 6 root 6 major 7, or root 6 major, root 6 major 7, root 6 major 6, just because they're so common. And then the dominant 7 with its parent scale of the Mixolydian, and then the minor 7 and the minor 6 with their parent scale of Dorian mode. Dorian mode is a flat 3, and it's still, and a flat 7. Still has a 1, 4, 5, right, and a 9 or 2, and with that flat 3 that makes it minor, but it also has a raised 6, which gives it a very bright, warm, minory sound, right? Most commonly used in improv, especially over standards and stuff, is that Dorian mode over minor. But there's lots more as well. So chord systems and scale systems. Chord scales means that it's a scale that suggests a chord, But that doesn't mean you just play the scale. You have to be sensitive to the notes in the chord, be sensitive to what are the important notes, the defining notes, as well as what are the passing notes and what are the color tones. Okay, I think that's about it. I'm going to do a video on each string, root 6, root 5, root 4, and so on, right? Because these systems work on every string. Okay. I think that's good for today. I hope that helps you in maybe a concept that you haven't considered. Okay. See you soon. Thanks.